So I just saw the movie SHAZAM, and I have quite a lot to say about it. Turns out the whole internet has seen the movie thanks to the Fandango early access screening that went absolutely bananas when it came to the amount of screenings, which I think they should do more of because for one, I live in California, and attending early screenings is an absolute nightmare. It's unorganized, and people are always bringing their friends and family the moment they start letting people into the theater, making my chances of getting in much smaller after waiting for 3+ hours. I never go to them anymore just because the companies organizing them are the absolute worst. So seeing Fandango do this where you can go to your local theater and check out a big budget superhero movie a couple weeks before it comes out with reserved seating is the absolute way to do it. So thank you, Fandango, for doing that. But yeah, I thought SHAZAM was okay overall. I have a lot of issues with it, honestly. I like to end on a positive note because this channel is all about positivity. Not really. So I'll get the main gripes that I had with the movie out of the way first. The villain played by Mark Strong probably has to be one of the worst DC villains to date. He's your very standard, by-the-book supervillain that wants to gain the absolute absurd amount of power because he's the baddie that wants to rule the world. They try to give him an arc in the very beginning of the movie to set up his character and why he becomes who he becomes later, but we've seen this arc done in superhero movies multiple times where it's beyond stale at this point and it fails to get you emotionally invested. His entire motivation is he wants Shazam's power so he can get super strong, get it? And that's basically all there is to his character. I'm not even playing. He does a couple bad things sprinkled throughout, and you still don't really care. He also has that cliche baddie monologue where he goes off on how true power is measured by the level of strength that you have. Just some very cheesy shit, and I didn't really like it. SHAZAM being mostly a comedic movie, his serious bits did not mesh well with the tone at all. Not to say Mark Strong was terrible as the character, he was just terribly written. Also, the action. It looked like I was watching a TV show. Whoever rendered some of the special effects needs to not work on another DC movie again. Maybe like that new Dora movie that's coming out pretty soon. Maybe work on that. I may be the minority on this one, but we had AQUAMAN just come out a couple months ago, and it looked way better. And they had so much to work with too. The biggest task to pull off when it comes to CG is whenever SHAZAM is fighting Mark Strong. They were flying and crashing through buildings, and it looks like Man of Steel levels of blockiness. And that movie came out 6 years ago, as opposed to AQUAMAN, which again, I'm in the minority on this one, had the whole 7 oceans to be recreated through CGI. Maybe it was budget, I don't know. All I know is that it looked really bad. We have this really crazy and big actiony scene towards the end of the movie, which, yeah, go figure, it's a superhero movie. While it doesn't go absolutely insane as Man of Steel does, I just wish that it was on a much smaller scale. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's expected when it comes to superhero movies, but I just wish they toned it down a bit due to the story and the themes they were executing throughout. If they were to go down that route, it would have been just fine. And I think it goes without saying that it doesn't do anything super creative with the superhero genre, which we'll get back into in a little bit. I'm not done covering this topic. If superhero movies aren't your thing, then this is not going to be the one that's going to make you like them. I'm just going to throw that out there. Despite it being pretty bad on what you mostly expect from this particular genre, this one had a very good script. It covers the story of Billy Batson, a foster child looking for his way into life by surviving on the streets until he gets picked up by a new foster family, while of course gaining the powers of SHAZAM, learning how to use them, and stopping the main villain. I have to point out that the main kids who played Billy Batson and the Gazebo's kid from It have very good chemistry.
You know what these are? They're gazebos! They're bullshit!
They have this conflict due to Gazebo's kid being super annoying and how they later click when Billy Batson becomes a superhero. It all works very well. They speak how regular middle/high schoolers would talk to each other, which, I don't know, it's been a long time since I've been that age, and I bought almost every single line delivered by these two. My favorite comedic moments come from when they're first learning the superpowers, and surprisingly, that 7-Eleven robbery scene was the funniest part in the whole movie. Which gets me right back into the topic of me saying that it does something a little different with the genre, is that these kids' reactions to some of the powers. I mean, let's be honest here, if you had a best friend that suddenly got these powers at their disposal, you know you do the same thing by testing them out and doing some dumb shit. And the fact that they post some of this stuff on YouTube to get internet fame, I absolutely bought it. It was all hilarious. The main guy who plays SHAZAM, I think his name is Zachary Levi, was also really good as the title character. I bought the 30-something-year-old man transforming himself into a 15-year-old kid, and whenever he does transform into SHAZAM, his chemistry with Gazebo's kid works just as well if he were still in kid form. It really feels like there was no personality change at all. Out of the main characters this movie focuses on the most, it's SHAZAM, Gazebo's kid, and Mark Strong. Surprisingly, Gazebo's kid was given an arc more than what he deserved. You thought he was gonna be Billy Batson's annoying yet charming annoying sidekick, but eventually he comes into his own and plays into how Billy Batson evolves as a person. I really like when side characters have more of a purpose than just comedic effect. It quite surprised me to see this kid pull off some really good acting chops. It's weird to say that this movie surprised me in all the aspects that I didn't expect, like clever humor and writing, but it disappointed me on all the other stuff expected in a superhero movie, you know, like good action and convincing CGI, not even a villain, because I just expect them to be all terrible at this point in comic book movies, honestly. But I say check this one out when you can. It might be one of the top 3 DC EU movies for me, definitely better than Suicide Squad and Justice League for me for sure, and as opposed to Wonder Woman, I'm not sure. I might have to think about it just a little bit longer. Thank you guys so much for checking out my thoughts on Shazam. I know that there's a lot of people out there who have seen it, so any of you guys have seen the movie pretty early on. What did you guys think of Shazam? Also, I would really appreciate it if you guys would support the channel by subscribing and checking out my Patreon. Support me on there because putting out free content is really difficult. I don't know if you heard, but my dog is in the background and he's hungry, guys. He needs to be fed. No, I'm just kidding. He's fine. Huh, Morty? You're fine, huh? I think he's sleeping right now. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. So I'll see you guys next time.